today we're doing Siman Kuf Tet, and the topic is min b'mino dry mixtures, or let's say at least min b'mino mixtures. What do we know about min b'mino mixtures? What's the halacha of min b'mino? Now, there's min b'mino. Just review. Wait a second. Min b'mino means like basar shchuta and basar nevela.
So ena mebatel, and a raya is from dam ha'ayil v'dam ha'par.
Ooh, you're being provocative. That is true. That is eno batel, and the proof is from that Gemara of dam of the par. But that is the interpretation of Rabbi Yehuda, and he says that it's never batel, and we don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda.
We say your dioraita batel barov.
What do we say, Deborah?
Dioraita batel barov.
Duraita batel barov in all cases of min b'mino? Just trying to intimidate you. Is that in all cases, or?
Oh, I think even with liquids, I think it's on a dioraita level.
That's true, right. So we say the opposite of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says it's never batel. We say it's always batel. And that case of how do we explain that case of the dama par? We're going to say that's an exception in kodshim. We can't learn out. That's an exception just by korbanot. Okay. So it's and what is the rabbinic law regarding min b'mino? In other words,
it's batel if you can't taste it, but since we no longer taste it, it'll be batel b'shishi.
in which case, if it's min b'mino and it's liquid or it's solid. Hi Isaac. Your father's here, but you can't see him.
Yes, we see him.
Wait, so let me just the basic halacha just to as a starting point is that on a deraita level all min b'mino is batel b'rov. Also on a deraita level all dry mixtures are batel b'rov. So when you have both of those together, dry and min b'mino, then it's really batel b'rov. Because you have two different reasons why it should be batel b'rov. And in such a case, the rabbis are willing to allow it as being batel b'rov. But in any other case, there's a gezerah. They're going to say, so therefore min b'mino in a liquid, since you only have, you can think of it like that. There's only one reason to mater it, because it's min b'mino, but it's a liquid. You're going to require 60. Why? They say because it's like min b'she'eino min. All right, wait. Let me go back.
Actually.
What? Wait, am I saying that right?
Yeah, it's just a little strange.
What's the reason for liquids? Min b'mino not being batel in rov, and you're requiring 60.
Isn't the idea that it dissipates into the food, that it's completely absorbed, nimoch?
Yeah, well, that's what the definition of liquid is, right? That liquid means that it's spread out. So, but still, on a deraita level, if it's min b'mino, it should be batel b'rov. Why would the rabbis go there to require 60?
It's they use a shot.
Well,
Because you might taste it, and you might like putting a pig's foot into your...
no, we're talking min b'mino. You can't taste it. It's min b'mino. It's basar shchuta. It's shechted kosher meat with basar nevela. You went into the supermarket, and in a non-Jewish supermarket, you bought beef. And you bought kosher beef also. So you have kosher and non-kosher beef. Taste the same. You're never going to taste... You don't taste the one more than the other.
Hence, min b'mino.
That's why that's min b'mino. Min b'mino, by definition, is that you don't taste it. Because it's the same taste. So why would the rabbis go there? I mean, it's not really our topic, actually. What?
When you have a kosher, isn't it also min b'mino when you have a kosher piece of beef and chicken soup?
No, that would be min be'eno mino. Because it's two different types, two different flavors. There, on a Doraita level, you'd need 60 to mavatal the tam. So you have to say, atu, the gezerah is atu mino. They just made a gezerah that it's to be like mino, to be like eno mino, atu eno mino. They just wanted to have a simple rule all the time, always 60.
It's more about 60 than about the problem.
Yeah, there's not really much of a problem, exactly. They just want to have a blanket rule of 60. But wait a second, now that we just said that we have a blanket rule of 60, we're actually having an exception to the blanket rule of 60. Because if it's dry, then we're gonna then min b'mino we are gonna let you be batal b'rov. Because that's the Torah level, and the Torah level is batal b'rov. And and why are they not gozer? Why are they not gozer? And the answer is because, well, first we have to understand why they are gozer in the case of dry eno mino. Dry eno mino, a small piece of pork and a small piece of beef, a couple of small pieces of kosher beef, eno mino, it's usher, you need 60. Why? Because they say if you would come and cook it, now, if you would cook the pork with the 10 pieces of kosher meat, the flavor would go from the pork to the... Oh, I lost the picture. The flavor would go from the pork to the other 10 pieces, and then you'd have a doraita problem. Because you'd have a taste of the pork, and that's a doraita, tam keker doraita. So you'd have a doraita problem. But by min b'mino, even if you would cook them, since they're the same flavor, you would never run into a doraita problem. So they were not gozer in that case. And you can't say gozer atu eno mino, because eno mino is mutter doraita. Eno mino of dry things is mutter doraita. So they couldn't do atu mino.
There'd also be a gezerah.
It would be like a gezerah to a gezerah, because
the first gezerah being what?
The first gezerah being that mino, that eno mino is required 60, because dry things eno mino, also would be batal b'rov.
So maybe I'm giving gezerah. The second gezerah would be...
The second gezerah would be that we're going to also make a gezerah on min b'mino, because you might come to cook it, and then it'll be like min b'sheino mino, which would be aser, but that's only aser d'Rabbanan. So they weren't gozer. So like I said, if you think about it as 4 squares, min, you can make a little chart of min b'mino, min b'eino mino, dry and wet. Of those 4 squares, one of them is aser d'oraita. One of them d'oraita requires 60. All the rest on a d'oraita level require only rov. But the rabbis were gozer on the 2 in the corners, the 2 that are similar to the d'oraita.
Wait, which are the 2 in the corners?
Min b'she'eno mino, that's dry, which should be really d'oraita mutter b'rov, and min b'mino, that is wet, liquids, min b'mino, that also should be b'rov. That there also gozer. And the gezeras are 2 different gezeras. One is atu mino, and the other is shema yavo levashel. Perhaps you'll come and cook it. All right, that's kind of an introduction. Now the question is, what are the sources that min b'mino dry is batal b'rov? Maybe you saw some sources for that. There actually are 3 sources that we can mention. The first is in Chulin, the Mishnah on Tzadi Vav, and the Gemara on Kuf. So you can look there just for a second to remind you. Chulin.
Got it.
Chulin, you can look at the Mishnah. Wait, can you guys see me? Do you see me?
I see you.
They
Yeah,
see-
when you're in front.
when I'm in front of the camera? Okay, because I lost my self-picture.
And here's my Mishnah.
Oh, great. And I can see your Mishnah. I can't read it though from here, so I'm going to open my own. So the Mishnah is in Tzadi Vav. Let's look there.
So,
Atar, you want to read the Mishnah?
Sure. ירך שנתבשל בגיד הנשה, אם יש בה בנותן טעם, הרי זו אסורה.
Right.
Where are we, Isaac? We're in
the Mishnah.
We're in 96. Mishnah.
Tzadi Vav.
I don't know, I'm Tzadik Vamud Bet. I'm at an hotel Gita Rashe.
In Chulin.
Am I out of my mind?
No, you're not out of your mind. The rest of the world is crazy.
The rest of the world is great.
Like- My Sefaria is Tzadik Vamud Bet and hotel Gita Rashe.
Oh, they're using Sfaria? Where's your Gemara?
maybe that's like not the.
I came from work, I didn't have a Gemara.
Look for the Mishnah that starts Yoreh.
Okay.
Do a search for Yoreh Shenit Bashel.
כיצד משערים אותה? עם בשר ולחם.
What?
No.
No.
Yoreh Shenit Bashel. All right, that's it. I'm gonna have to read it. At least.
Oh, I got it. If anyone's using Sefaria, there's whatever edition they're using, there's a number of Tzadik Vav Amud Bet paragraphs. Okay, I apologize for the confusion. ירח שנתבשל בגיד הנשה, אם יש בה ונותן טעם, הרי זו אסורה. כיצד משערין אותה? כבשר בלפת, כיצד משערין אותה? כבשר בלפת.
All right, this is not the right. This is so far not the relevant part. Keep going.
גיד הנשה שנתבשל עם הגידים, בזמן שמכירו ונותן טעם. ואם לאו, כולן אסורים.
Okay, so that's important. Wait, so what's that mean? Gida Nashe is a classic example of something that doesn't give flavor, but you're cooking them all together. So even though there's no flavor here, you don't, and you bisman she'eno makiro, you don't recognize it. Bisman she'makiro benoten tam v'im lav kulan asurot. If you don't recognize it, why are they all asur? Because you can't eat that gida nashe, and it's mixed in with this mixture. It's kind of like a dry mixture, actually, if you think about it. But anyway, go on.
ואם לאו, כולן אסורים. ורוטב בנותן טעם. וכן חתיכה של נבלה וכן חתיכה של דג טמא שהתבשלה עם החתיכות בזמן שמכירן בנותן טעם. ואם לאו, כולן אסורות, והרוטב בנותן טעם.
Okay, so the second, that's the part that we're really interested in. What does it say? It says that a chaticha or a dog tameh, it doesn't matter about the dog, let's think about the chaticha. A chaticha shenitbashel im hatichot. You've got a piece of meat cooking with other pieces of meat. If you recognize it, so throw it out, and then the sauce is mutter noten tam. It needs 60. Vim lav kulam asurot. If not, you can't get it out, so it's a mixture with this piece in there, it's asur. Varotev and noten tam. But the rotev will still be mutter because the flavor gets into it. In other words, the flavor in the sauce is going to be batel in 60, but we're not going to give you the heter of batel b60 by the piece because you might eat the piece. So wait, before you ask any questions, the Gemara is going to ask our questions. So turn to Kuf. Kuf, it's the very end of Tzadi Tet, Amud Bet. Very, very end, like a couple of words.
The last one.
The last line. So tell me when you get there.
It's Bitul Shani.
Yeah, before that. That's the answer. Before that.
And Tzadi Tet Amud Bet.
Technically, I want to start at Gida Nashe Shin Basha.
I got it.
Go ahead.
גיד הנשה שנתבשל, גיד הנשה שנתבשל, ויבטל ברובה.
That's the question.
Yeah, right. Why don't we just be battled in rov? Bitul Shani.
Birei Shani. So wait a second. Wait, before you go on. What does it mean? Batal Barov. What about Batal B'Shishim?
Well, because we're still D'Oraita, right? And D'Oraita shouldn't be a problem.
Why? It's because it's Gira Nashesh Nitpashel Im HaGidim. So you're saying it's Min B'Mino, so therefore, so first of all, so therefore we're learning, this is a source, this is a Gemara that's telling us actually, that there's Batal Barov on a D'Oraita level when it's Min B'Mino. And is this Yavesh B'Yavesh, or is this wet?
I'm assuming it's Yavesh B'Yavesh.
Even though it's cooking together, and it's mixing all the flavors, why would it still be Yavesh B'Yavesh?
Well, it's mixing something. It's not mixing flavor because it's as if there's no flavor to mix. So
in the gid, right. There's no flavor to mix, so therefore it's irrelevant that we're cooking it. And therefore it's as though they're not even touching, because there's no flavor transfer. So it's like dry, but now read the next section. V'ken haticha.
V'chen haticha shenevela. And this is referring back to the Mishnah, right?
Right.
V'chen haticha shenevela.
Which said again, it's aser. The whole thing is aser.
ותיבטל ברובה, הניחא למאן דאמר כל שדרכו להימנות שנינו, אלא למאן דאמר את שדרכו להימנות שנינו, מה איכא למימר? שאני חתיכה, הואיל והוא היה להתכבד בה, לפני אורחים.
לפני אורחים, period, stop there. So, what was our question? Libatel barov. Before we even get to the answer, the question was, let it be batel barov. What does that mean? That means even though you're cooking pieces of meat together in a pot, it should be batel barov. Why? Well, you could say, I think the simple is that even though is this dry or is this wet? By the gid we said it's maybe dry. Here we're probably going to say it's wet because the flavor is transferring. So why isn't it requiring 60?
Why are we assuming that it's the flavor is transferring?
Because you're cooking it. Doesn't cooking in a pot, pieces of meat, doesn't that transfer flavor? You have a haticha nevela, and you have kosher meat and non-kosher meat cooking together. Isn't that
it could be min b'mino.
So there's flavor transfer. It's wet. It's considered wet. But the heter for rov is because it's min b'mino. Again, this is, yeah? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what's the answer? We said, because, why was it not batel? Because of chaticha rui litchabed.
For a different reason.
For a totally different reason. It's a chaticha rui litchabed.
But you're actually right that it would not. It would be batel barov.
Right. If you didn't hear what Rabbi Deah just said, he said, you're actually right that it would be batel if it wouldn't be for this chaticha rui litchabed. So you see here a Gemara that tells us that min b'mino is batel. But it doesn't really tell us dry, but it tells us min b'mino is batel barov. Even if it's dry, if it's wet, min b'mino is always batel barov. Fine. But this is on a D'Oraita level. Well, is it on a D'Oraita level actually? Let's think about that for a second. Is this on a D'Oraita level or not? Why would you say it's on a D'Oraita level? I have a kasha for that. What's the kasha? Can anyone guess my kasha? The answer is no, it's not batel barov because of haticha rui litchabed. Is haticha rui litchabed a din d'Oraita or a din d'Rabbanan? D'Rabbanan. So that means we're talking in the world of D'Rabbanan. We're saying in the world of Rabbanan it should be mutter. You say no, it's not because of this. Why didn't the Gemara just say? Why didn't the Gemara? If we were talking in the words of D'Oraita, the Gemara could have just answered. Wait just a second. If we were talking in the world of D'Oraita, the Gemara could have just answered. It's not batel because Gezeira D'Rabbanan. You thought it was D'Oraita Gezeira D'Rabbanan. You say no. Of course, we're talking in the D'Rabbanan level. So you can't give me the answer Gezeira D'Rabbanan. You can give me another answer. The other answer is because it's a chaticha rui litchabed. So that means when we were saying it's batel barov, it was batel barov even D'Rabbanan.
For sure, D'Oraita.
For sure D'Oraita. But even, for sure D'Oraita it's mutter. But even D'Rabbanan, it's also mutter. It has to be.
So you're saying this is a pushback against 60?
This
Well, the cases in the Mishnah are the exception.
the cases, but the question we're trying to figure out what the klal is from the exception.
Yeah, the Chaticha Riyalis Kabe and Demer Shubim Minyan and the other cases in the Mishnah are the exception, and that's what the Gemara is saying.
Yeah, exactly. But the Gemara is saying libatel berov, and then it says, oh, but this is an exception. So I'm trying to figure out. So what was the Gemara's havamina? If it's not an exception, what's the standard rule? Is this the standard rule is batel berov, but is that on a deraita level or derabanan level? And I'm suggesting that the Gemara can only be read as a derabanan level.
Yeah, but
And it's even derabanan. But wait a second. If it's lach balach, didn't I just give you this introduction that lach balach on a derabanan level is required 60? Deraita, it's true that it's batel berov, but on a derabanan level, there's a gezerah. How come this Gemara doesn't mention the gezerah? The Gemara had a much simpler answer. It could have just, instead of saying haticha rulit committed, just let it say, oh, there's a gezerah, that's why it's not batel. That's why it's all aser.
Well, none of this is lach, I thought.
yeah, and Yevish b'Yevish is different because it involves a suffix.
Okay, we're getting, that's you're getting into the Rashba. Yeah, that's the Rashba's opinion. True, but I'm just saying this Gemara. Wait, first to Isaac, what Isaac said. He said, but this is dry. Is it dry? So maybe it is dry. Maybe it is dry, except the only reason I thought it's not dry is because it's cooking. If you have meat cooking with other meat, isn't that, the whole concept of wet is that there's flavor transferring. Dry means you have a cold piece of meat and another cold piece of meat and they got mixed up. And you don't know which one is which, but there's no flavor transfer. But here they're cooking in a pot. Isn't that flavor transfer? Doesn't the rotev become aser, and then the rotev puts flavor back into the pieces?
Well, if it's gid, we're assuming the gid has no flavor.
The gid?
And if it...
Yeah, gid nicha. I'm interested in the haticha one.
But
Even with the gid,
Wait, Rav Landa says.
I would just say, even with the gid, they struggle to do a virtual flavor.
Right.
They'll say the flavor is the shuman or something else like that.
Shuman hagid, the Rabbanan.
Right, yeah, whatever it is. But you're right. But I think you're right to go with the chatat nevela.
Exactly.
Forget the
I'll
gid.
give up on the gid. I'm interested in
the gid is virtual.
The gid is for sure dry. I'm not interested in that one. But in the haticha, isn't that classic example of wet? I mean, it's not a drop of milk falling onto meat, but it's two pieces of meat cooking together. Flavors transfer. Anyway, it's a problematic problem in this Gemara, but anyway, that's a source. Let's go to the next source. That's the first source. That's the first source that we see that there's a bitul berov, and it seems to apply to any case of lach. The next source is Zvachim. This is my favorite Gemara this year. This is
What's that?
This is Zvachim Ayin Tet. Zvachim Ayin Tet Amud Aleph. This is a very important Gemara. Why is it my favorite Gemara this year? Because I didn't notice it last year. Now I noticed it.
Wait. Which daf is it? Which daf are we on?
79. Ayin Tet. Amud Aleph. It starts Amar Rava. Okay, everyone's there?
No review.
Oh, Isaac, you want to read?
I'm not there. I'm having trouble finding it.
Ayin Tet. Ayin Tet.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ayin Tet.
79. Zochi. You guys all got to know this Gemara because it's my favorite Gemara. If I taught you one thing, it should be this Gemara.
Was this Amar Rabba Mora Banan Betama?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's okay.
This is a similar. Why is this interesting Gemara? Because there's a similar Gemara in Chulin that is also very famous. That's very famous. That says Amar Rabbanan, Amar Rava, and he gives this whole list of shishim. But here's a different list. That's why I like this one, because it's sort of it gives contrast to the similar statement of Rava in Chulin. Where is it in Chulin? Sadi Vav, I think. Yeah, Sadi Zayin, Amud Aleph, and Amud Bet. That's it, if you want to make a note to yourself. In Chulin, Sadi Zayin. But here, we're in Ayin Tet. So go ahead, Isaac.
Amud Aleph, Amud Bet?
Amud Aleph. Amud Aleph, Amar Rava.
If you're looking in the Sephara, it's like 5 lines down from the beginning of Ayin Tet. Amar Rava, Amor Rabbanan Betama, V'mor Rabbanan Beruba, V'mor Rabbanan Bechazuta.
Wait, so stop there a second. First of all, the rabbis, he has 3 statements of the rabbis. Sometimes they say tam, to matter things, sometimes they say rov, and sometimes they say chazuta, the way it looks. So now he's going to explain what those 3 things are.
Min b'sheno mino betama. Min b'mino beruba.
So wait a second. Wait, stop there for a second. So he says, if it's min b'she'eno mino, you taste it, or 60. But if it's min b'mino, it's ruba. Rov is enough. So here you see that min b'mino, berov. And read on, just read the last bit. That's it, that's enough.
That's it.
So wherever there is a chazut, where there is an appearance, then you go by the appearance. In other words, like we're talking, this is a halacha like wine and water. If wine falls into your water, if you can still see it there, then it's
Rashi's
not
good.
batel.
Rashi's good. Hechadika chazuta.
Right, Rashi. Well, I don't want to get into it. That's not our topic. Our main point is this is another source that it says min b'mino berov. Min b'mino
It says
berov.
it's straight. It's just.
Says it, right. Because the other ones was like a diuk from what it didn't say.
Right.
You know, we had a diuk from what the Gemara it didn't say. It had a havamina, and from the havamina we learned. But here we have Rava saying this statement. And the question is this D'oraita or D'Rabbanan? Most people say this is D'oraita, but D'Rabbanan maybe it's not. But I think when he says Amar Rabbanan, it sounds like this is the rabbinic level. But sounds like it to me. All right, that's the second source for, for Batil Berov. The third source is Chulin Sadi Zayin. And that's the last source.
Say Zion what? Where?
Sadi Zayin, it's the same statement of Rava. That's the one I want to do to distinguish it with.
The Amar Rava, that one.
Yeah, the Amar Rava, the last line of Sadi Zayin Amud Aleph, going on to Amud Bet. So Isaac, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, Damar Rava, Emor Rabbanan Betama, V'mor Rabbanan Bekfela, V'mor Rabbanan Beshishim. Hilkach, min b'sheno mino, De'tera Betama, De'tera Betama, Disura Bekfela.
Right.
V'min b'mino, Deleka Lemeka Matama, Inami min b'sheno mino, Disura Deleka Kefela.
B'shishim.
B'shishim.
B'shishim. So, in 2 cases you have shishim. One case is you don't have a goy around, and the other case is it's min b'mino. Stira. Here it says min b'mino requires 60. The other Gemara said min b'mino is berov. So how do we answer that stira? Everyone sees the contradiction? Here Rava said min b'mino b'shishim.
And we just saw.
Rava saying min b'mino berov. So the simple answer is
One's D'Rabbanan.
right. Simple answer is to say zvachim is on a D'oraita level, that it would be mutter berov, and on the Rabbanan level it's shishim. That's a simple way to understand it. I mean, is there better ways? I don't know. You could say one is dry and one is wet. Could say, when Rava was saying over there, B'shishim, he was saying dry. When he's saying Barov, he was saying if it's dry. And here he's talking if it's not dry, if it's Tei flavors have transferred. That's another possibility. But I guess the simple pshat is D'oraita D'Rabbanan. So now let's look. Now I want to go to Beit Yosef. At the tour and the Kuftet. I'll read a little bit of the tour. So here, so you just need to look at your tour. Haticha she'eino ruya litchabed, shenitarev ba'acherot yavesh b'yavesh batla afilu chad b'trei. So there is our din that if you have pieces of meat, when it says it has to be eino ruya litchabed, if it's a big piece of meat, then it's never batel. But if it's like little pieces, let's say goulash or smaller, it mixed with other ones, yavesh b'yavesh, cold, let's say, they didn't transfer flavor. Batela afilu chad b'trei, 1 and 2. Interesting, the Shach says that you have to have 2. In other words, it's not just mean that, it means 2 things, chad b'trei. It means 1, that you have to have majority kosher in volume, but you also have to have majority kosher in number. In other words, you can't...
So you just had one big blob.
If you had one, somehow you couldn't tell which one. You had one big blob of kosher and 2 little treif ones, so it wouldn't be batel because you have to have a numerical advantage and as well as a...
Who says this?
The Shach. The Shach says this. The Shach says this.
We pass it that way.
That's the way we pass it. So you have to have both. Okay. V'lechora nira. So now he says v'lechora. V'lechora nira she'ein chiluk bein nitarev b'mina bein shelo b'mina. Kagon shenifrad lahatichot dakot. He's worried now. How could it be eino mina that you couldn't identify it? So let's say if it's small pieces. He says like this. Without getting into that detail. Lechora again. Lechora nira she'ein chiluk bein nitarev b'mina bein שלא במינה, כגון שנפרד להתיכות דקות, שאין ניכר בין זה לזה, אבל בעל התרומה כתב דווקא שנתערבה במינה, אבל מין בשאין המינה, אפילו יבש ביבש, צריך 60, כיוון דאם יבשלם, ייתן בהן טעם. Because if you would cook them, in other words, if they're eina mina, in other words, we're talking about dry. We're in the world of dry. He's saying like this. Dry should always be batal barov. But if they're min b'she'eino mina, if they're 2 separate flavors, and we would allow you to be mutter, then you might come to cook them together. And if you cook them together, then you would have a flavor transfer, and that would be also d'oraita. In other words, you have like pieces of little tiny shawarma meat, and some of the shawarma meat is kosher shawarma meat, and some of it is not kosher shawarma meat. And they're different. Sorry, one is like turkey and one is beef. So the turkey is kosher and the beef is not kosher. So they're all mixed together. You can't tell which is which. And it would be batal barov because you have more kosher turkey than you have that non-kosher beef shawarma meat. So he says lechora it should be mutter. And why is it not mutter? Well, the Baal Truma says because if you would cook it now, if you take all that shawarma meat and put it in a pot and cook it up, the flavor would start transferring. It would cease to be considered a dry mixture, it would be considered a wet mixture, and then you need 60. And since you would, and that would be d'oraita, so where it goes there even when you don't cook it. Right? Is that clear? Even when you don't cook it, it's going to be asr.
That seems odd to me that you would do a gezerah from a hypothetical situation, but the hypothetical situation then becomes a d'oraita, and then is that done often? Because it's right now it's not a d'oraita situation. It's a d'rabbanan situation. What might be? Who knows what might be? Yeah,
but if you tell if a person comes from his kitchen to your rabbinical court and says, "Is this kosher?" and you say, "Yes, it's kosher," he's going to assume he can do whatever he wants with it. You're going to tell him, "Yes, it's kosher, but let me put a sticker on it that says not to be cooked." You can eat it like it is. So we don't want to start putting out those stickers. We don't want to give people kosher under certain circumstances. Because the minute he cooks it, it will be asur d'oraita, says the Baal Truma. Because now,
It's like the Bitul doesn't hold that.
it's exactly, the Bitul, what do you mean? Once it's batel, it's batel.
You would think.
You would think. You would think it's batel, it's batel. It's like the din of choser v'niyur. So I want to get into that. You know what? I'll skip the first. Yeah. Right.
It's
So-
like there are different philosophies of what Bitul really means.
Right. There are. Yes.
That's what you're going to do.
That is a great introduction. Yes, that is exactly it. What is the philosophy of Bitul? You see where that is? Kasav Rashba? Kasav Rashba, B'Torah Sabayis Aro. Sha'al haskama zu, she'eskamnu, she'eskimu, ruban shel harishonim. What is it? The yavish b'yavish batel barov. Barov mamash. Anu somchim v'osim ma'aseh. That's the halacha. If it's yavish b'yavish, it's batel barov. V'ken pasach b'sefer truma. V'kasav Rashba b'tshuva she'otam hasovrim lomar she'afilu yavish b'yavish b'kol isurim eino batel b'pachot mishishim amru she'im nitarev yavish b'yavish b'pachot mishishim im nafal. So he says like this. I didn't read this, but in the Beit Yosef, he mentioned that maybe Rashi and and certainly the Rambam, interesting din of the Rambam, he holds that you require 60 even by Yavish b'Yavish, even by Min b'Mino. You always require 60. It's just always 60, according to the Rambam, and maybe Rashi. You always need 60. So you wouldn't have this din of Batal Barov. Because Rava said over here in Chulin, Batal Barov. You need 60. Min b'Mino, you need 60. So the Rambam learns that as across the board. You need 60 always. And he says, but according to those people, im nafal echad mehen, I'm back into the Beis Yosef, im nafal echad mehen liyam, if one of them got lost.
One of what?
So you have like this, you have a case of, you don't have 60, you have 50, let's say, or 40. 40 kosher pieces of beef and one non-kosher piece of beef, and one of these pieces falls into the yam now. So it was Batal Barov really, but the Rambam doesn't hold by Batal Barov. He says you need 60. But if one of the pieces fell into the yam, hashar mutarin, the other 50 are mutar. Va'al pi ma sheyit ba'er b'siman shachar zeh. V'katav sheyesh migdolei hamorim, some of the great teachers, cholkim b'zeh v'omrim shelo hetiru b'nafal achat mehen liyam. It doesn't matter if one fell into the sea, it's still ella b'chomer hatarovot. Klomar, in other words, in things that require much more. Klomar kuf aleph. In other words, when you have 101, sometimes you need 101, like in Orla or Ketruma. Orla is true. Echad matayim Orla. Orla needs 200. Ola iser kol hatarovot. Kishor niskal. Ola esor kol hatarovot. Or things that are never batel, like sor niskal. The shore that has to be destroyed, has to be stoned. So that shore, if it gets mixed up with other shvarim, so they're all forbidden, but that's all d'Rabbanan. So if one of them then would get lost, it's a suffix d'Rabbanan l'kula. Simple, suffix d'Rabbanan l'kula. Since the whole din is d'Rabbanan, suffix d'Rabbanan l'kula. V'yayin nesek aval kishenafa pachot mishishim, l'pachot mishishim. But if the mixture wasn't shishim at least, it had to be at least shishim. Afal pi shenafa lachat mehen liyam lo natir et hashar. We were not going to permit it. So this is just an interesting question about, according to the opinion of the Rambam and the Rashi, that you always need 60. Can you matter it if one fell into the sea? He says no. Some people say yes and some people say no.
You wouldn't matter it on the basis of saying.
You would matter it, first of all, we would matter it based on Rov.
Right.
The Rambam might matter it because he says, well, if one fell into the sea, maybe anyway I had Rov d'Rabbanan, and so now it's a suffix d'Rabbanan, and the din of 60 is only d'Rabbanan. So it's a suffix d'Rabbanan because maybe the one that fell into the sea is the treif one, and so all the other ones could be kosher. That's his idea here. V'da, and let's go on. V'da, dahada amrin and yavish b'yavish chad b'trei batil. When we say that in yavish b'yavish 1 and 2 is, in other words, in rov is batel, hainu la'afuke devar lach. That is going against. That is not the case when it's a wet thing. O nimoach umit pashet. Aval kol davar shehu omed ba'atzmo ele shehu mu'urav im acherim. If it stands on its own, but it's mixed with other pieces, so that's called yavish. Afal pi shehu. He says afal pi shehu mevushal b'mayim. Even though it's cooked in water. O mashkim acherim. Mikri yavish b'yavish. This is an amazing thing he's saying. He's saying it's still called yavish b'yavish, even though it's wet, even though the flavor is transferring, because it's cooking in this liquid. Why? Doesn't that seem weird? Wouldn't we say that the flavor